this piece can be a perfect stepping stone into discovering exactly how to produce a large sound without it sounding forced. This is one of the most glaring and obvious mistakes that amateurs make, how to play loud. People tend to push a lot when they're trying to play loud. Engage their muscles and push, very poor habit to have, when instead they should be using their arm's weight and their body weight to produce a large sound on the piano. This is how you get a nice rich tone. So I want to use this piece as a way to teach that. So I'll begin as usual by playing through the first 10-15 seconds of the music. Then I'll start from the beginning, I'll take it apart, and I'll show you how you can learn it yourself and how to use it effectively to improve your piano playing in general, sound production. Okay, here it is. The Prelude number 20 in C minor. So you can tell that everything about this piece is chordal, but amongst all of these chords and strung over top of all these chords is a melody. It's a simple melody, to be sure, but there is a melody to bring out when you voice and phrase this thing. Okay, so I'll begin with the left hand since it's the easiest thing to learn first. Okay, so we begin in very narrow and clearly defined phrases, right? The first phrase is 1 bar long. The second phrase is another bar. It's really very clear and delineated. So we can have a look at the first phrase on its own, the first bar. Left hand first, we have a C to begin, octave, 5 and 1, heavy and loose. F, same fingering. G, same fingering. An option of 4, and we finish roughly where we started, C with a G in between. Also make sure to phrase it such that there's a swell in the middle of it. So we start heavy, we get heavier, and then we draw back a little bit towards the end of that bar. Now, the way that you should be playing these, I mean, it seems simple enough, it's just octaves, but something to keep track of as you're learning this is that the hand should be quite loose. Your wrist should be very loose, your arm and elbow, everything should hang heavy. So that when you play these chords, it's just the bridge of the hand that absorbs that force. That's what's keeping your hand from just collapsing into the keys. Right, everything else is loose and heavy, and it's the bridge that keeps the hand above the keys. The next thing you should think about is when you're lifting this to go to the next one, the act of lifting it should be part of the momentum that brings you to the next octave, right? Instead of, which is very common, playing one, lifting, looking for the next one, and then using a second motion to restart on the next one, then finding the next one, and then if you play like that, it'll sound kind of choppy, and it's much more difficult to create musical lines this way. So use the momentum of lifting this to bring you to the next one. It sort of catapults you across the phrase. There's no wasted movement, no wasted motion. Okay, once more. This is in 4/4 time, so it's all quarters, straightforward. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is your left hand. Again, don't forget that every bit of the sound that I'm creating here comes only from my arm's weight. I'm never pushing. I'm never pushing. Okay, now the right hand. Now the right hand is where all the technical intricacies are, because the right hand has anywhere between 3 and 5 notes at a time. So we begin with 1, 2, 3, 5. But before learning it like this with all of the notes, I recommend doing the following. Learn just the outside notes. This is what I'm going to start with, because both of the hands then have a kind of equilibrium between the two, between each other. This is where the counterpoint is between the voices. So, if we take just the outside notes of the right hand, and we'll omit the middles for now, bring it back in a bit. This will also help us to voice the melody above. We begin with 5 and 1 on G, 5 and 1 on A flat, back down, and then we have a little quick. You can feel free to play these two, 5 and 3, and land on 5 and 1. From a rhythmic point of view, I don't think you have to be doing too much counting here. Just fit that D and F before arriving here. So. Make sure that when you move from 5 and 3 to the octave, that it's one motion. It's not one motion here and then arrival here. You use this one as a catapult to bring you to the E flat. Cool. Okay, take a few moments, make sure you have that pretty well nailed down, and then put it together. Everything aligns except for the D and F. So we'll have CG to start. That's our opener. And as I told you about the left hand, where you have to use the motion leaving one note to enter the next, the same thing is true in the right hand. So lifting this sort of gets us to the next position. Everything is quite heavy, lugubrious, and sticky almost. And so as you're waiting for the next position from here, you know where you need to go with both hands. So see it in your mind's eye before you arrive, and then lift and arrive in one motion. Then again, lift and arrive in one motion. Obviously easier said than done, but this is what you're aiming at when you're learning this piece. Okay, assuming now that you've done some good amount of work with this and you can move from one to the next comfortably, one chord to the next comfortably, let's add the middle notes of the right hand. Notice that in octave form, there should be a tendency to voice the top note over the bottom. Even though the thumb is stronger and heavier on the hand, it's the top note that should be the loudest of the two, because that's where the melody is. Right? And then when you start adding the middle notes in, keep that in mind. Keep the top as the focal point of the phrase. You can see how much louder my pinky is than all the notes beneath it. So the middle notes are 2 and 3. Next. The middle notes replay, same. Next. And opens up a little bit. I would suggest 1, 2, 3, and 5. And then. So from here, arriving 1, 2, 4, and 5. Once more. Lift, arrive. Everything is heavy, heavy, heavy. No pushing. Every bit of that sound comes really from the weight of your arm and the weight of your body. Then put it together. And after you've done all of this work, what you should really hear most is the counterpoint between the bottom, the bass, and the melody above. That. And there you have it. Another small detail to mention, when you're moving from here to the final chord, make sure that the thumb, since the thumb is on a black note, make sure all of these fingers are fairly high up the key. That's the only way you're going to be able to reach the thumb comfortably without contorting your hand and reaching from beneath. So make sure that you arrive in between these two black notes. There's really no way around it. Okay. Pedaling, pretty straightforward. Each chord gets its own pedal. So start with the pedal down. Change. 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 Moving on. And we're going to be tackling that in the next part of the tutorial. I'll see you in just a moment. Let's mosey on forward.